All right, let's get into it. Today, we are unpacking a really complex story that's unfolding right now in Washington, D.C. It's all about one of the biggest issues facing pretty much everyone in America: housing.
So you might be asking yourself, why all the fuss right now? Well, it all starts with a problem that millions of people are feeling in their bones. I mean, whether you're trying to buy a house, sell one, or just find a decent place to rent, you know the market is tough. And believe me, Washington has definitely noticed. And this isn't just a problem in a few big cities anymore, it is a full-blown nationwide crisis. And because of that, we're seeing action from every single corner of the federal government. So today, we're going to break down what that actually means for you by looking at three key things: a brand new bill, a plan from the president, and a pretty high-stakes political battle. Okay, let's start with the first big piece of this puzzle. There's a bipartisan bill that just sailed through the Senate with huge support. But it has one little provision in it that's kicking up a major debate. I mean, look at that vote, 89 to 10. You just don't see that kind of lopsided result very often, and it really shows you how seriously lawmakers are taking this housing shortage. You've got supporters like the National Association of Realtors calling it a huge step in the right direction. So what you're seeing here is the core argument for the bill. It's all about more supply and easier access to money. The idea is to tackle the problem from a bunch of different angles. Sounds simple, right? Well, as it turns out, there's a catch. So what's the holdup? If everyone agrees we need more housing, what's the big deal? Well, the entire controversy boils down to one specific rule, and it's aimed squarely at the big dogs, large corporate investors who have been buying up single-family homes. And this table just lays out the conflict perfectly. On one side, you have people saying, hey, let's force these corporations to sell the rental homes they build after 7 years. That'll free up houses for families to buy. But on the other side, you have critics, including the home builders themselves, saying, whoa, if you do that, we'll just stop building those rental homes in the first place. And here's the crucial point. You've got key players in the industry literally warning Congress that this idea could totally backfire and actually make the housing shortage worse. They're telling the House of Representatives, you need to pump the brakes and take this part out before it becomes law. Okay, so while Congress is tied up debating that bill, the White House isn't just sitting around. They're moving on a completely parallel track, using the power of the executive branch to try and make some immediate changes. So these actions are basically a two-pronged attack on the problem. First, make it easier for regular people to get the loans they need to buy a house. Second, make it cheaper and faster for companies to actually build those houses. It's a way to get things done without waiting for Congress. And this quote right here from the head of the FHFA, it really captures the administration's whole vibe on this. They believe that these executive orders, plus the action in the Senate, are creating what they call a tsunami of positive change for housing right now. But underneath all this policy talk, there is a high-stakes political battle raging. And this isn't just some inside-the-beltway fight. This can impact not just your mortgage rate, but the entire U.S. economy. Just look at this timeline. It shows this wild escalation between the Department of Justice and the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be independent, by the way. What started with testimony from Fed Chair Jerome Powell has just snowballed into this massive crisis, pulling in a federal judge and even a key senator. I mean, wow. This is a pretty shocking statement coming from a federal judge. He's basically saying this whole legal fight isn't about some actual crime. It's about politics. It's about putting pressure on the Fed to change its interest rate decisions. You know, the very decisions that directly affect what you and I pay for our mortgages. So with all of these different pieces moving at once, you've got a bill stuck between the House and Senate, new executive orders, and this huge political fight over the Federal Reserve. Where in the world do we go from here? Well, next week, the Federal Reserve meets to make its next big decision on interest rates. But the problem is, the economic signals they're looking at are, well, they're all over the place. A great jobs report one month, then job losses the next. Inflation goes down a bit, then it just stays flat. It makes their job of steering the economy incredibly difficult. And here it is. This is the key takeaway for your wallet. Even with all this economic confusion and all the political pressure, the Fed is signaling that they're not planning to cut interest rates anytime soon. They're going to hold steady, which likely means mortgage rates could stay high for a while. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You have Congress, the White House, and the Federal Reserve all pulling in different directions, each with their own idea of a solution. And for the millions of Americans just trying to find an affordable place to live, the future of the housing market is as uncertain as it's ever been.